Hi everyone, I am Katie Adams and today we are making advent calendars. Now this is a Christmas tree advent calendar that I designed. We're going to cut it out using chipboard and the Cricut maker. Yes, the Cricut maker can cut out chipboard and it is so easy. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Now I have everything ready for this Christmas tree advent calendar, ready to cut in Cricut Design Space. So all you'll have to do is go to the project, and I'll give you the link, click on Make It, and as long as you have a Cricut maker, you are ready to go. So let's get started. So the first part is the printable part of the project. I have all of the numbers 1 through 25 printed out. I just printed out using my home computer and Cricut Design Space, making sure that I got this guideline all the way around. And now we're gonna cut it out. So I've got a light grip mat. I'm gonna take that cover off, set that to the side, and we're just gonna line this up at the top there. Okay, ready to go, easy peasy. Now we're gonna bring in the Cricut maker here. And we're gonna open it up. I love how it opens, it's so fun. Okay, then on my computer, I'm going to pull up Cricut Design Space. Now I know this is kind of hard for you to see on my computer, but I'm going to select the type of paper. I'm using a cardstock, so I'm going to click on cardstock. And then my button right here is starting to blink, which means it is ready to cut. So I'm going to load my paper in and hit the blinking button that will load the paper, pull it in. And the first thing that the machine is going to do is see if it can read those guidelines. Since this is a print and cut, it's going to search for that black outline around my numbers and make sure that everything is as it should, so it knows exactly where to cut those circles. Now it is calibrating the blade, and it is beginning to cut, which means that it read all of my registration marks just like I wanted it to. So we're gonna go ahead and let the machine cut out the numbers, and then we'll come back with the next step. So our light on our machine is blinking, so that means we're gonna hit the button. It's gonna eject our print and cut. And we are done with the maker for right now, so I'm just gonna move it out of the way here. And now we want to carefully remove our cardstock sheet from the light grip mat. It's okay if our numbers stick. That just means they got cut out all the way. So we don't need this piece anymore. I'm gonna grab the little spatula tool to get off the numbers. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the mats is you really don't want to touch the sticky part with your fingers, because then the oils from your fingers transfer to the mat and make it less sticky, so it won't last as long. So you do want to use tools whenever you have to pry stuff off the mat. You don't want to just use your fingers and lay your hands on the mat. So it's better to use the tools. For the next part of our project, we are going to cut the chipboard with the maker. Now this is the 2mm thick chipboard from Cricut, and you want to use a heavy duty or a strong grip mat, the purple mat. As you can see, this is a well-loved mat, but that's okay. Now with the chipboard, you want to put it all the way to the left. The chipboard is only 11 by 11. It is not 12 by 12 because the dimensions of what the maker can cut with chipboard is a little bit smaller than with traditional 12 by 12 paper. So they make it 11 by 11 instead of 12 by 12. Now with the chipboard, you do want to make sure that it is good and stuck to the mat. So having a brayer is helpful to really push it into the mat, but then we are also going to tape it down. Okay, so here I've just got some masking tape. It's pretty masking tape, isn't it cute? And if I can get the edge of it, and we are going to put some tape around all 4 sides just to really help hold that chipboard in place. But we're gonna do it better than how that just went. Okay, so we're gonna grab a long piece of tape and we're just gonna put it on the edge of the chipboard onto the mat. Okay, just like that. And we're gonna do that to all 4 sides. Pushing that down really tight because we really don't want that chipboard to move. Okay, then I'm going to go over it with the brayer just one more time and even push down that tape that's around the edges down really well because I don't want it to move. I want it to be good and stuck. All right, okay, that looks pretty good to me. So we're gonna pull the maker back in here. Now the first thing when you are cutting a chipboard or a thicker material is you need to move the rings. Let's see, can you see the rings? Yep. So on this rod right here, there are 4 white plastic or rubber rings, and we want to push those all the way to the end. Because this is such a thick project, those little rubber feet will make marks in our project. So we want to move them all the way to the side, and that is why we cut even smaller, is because we need to make room for all of those wheels to pass not on our project, but to the right on that bar. So that's one of the reasons why we cut a smaller piece, not 11.5 by 11.5, but 11 by 11, okay? Now, on Cricut Design Space, you will need to cancel your project and start it over and go to this mat. Otherwise, it's gonna try and cut the whole thing out in paper, which was the first thing that we cut. So you'll want to cancel, cut again, or make it again, click on make it, but this time change it to chipboard and then cut it out. And you'll also want to make sure that you have the knife blade installed. So we're gonna take out the fine blade, put in the knife blade, and we can even put that one back down there. And now we are ready to go. Now with chipboard and the thicker materials, it does take a little bit longer for the Cricut to cut it out. It takes several passes over it. I think with the tree, it took, I want to say 17 passes. So it did take quite a bit longer to cut out than just a piece of paper. So to save us time, I already have one cut out that the Cricut cut out for us. So this is what we're going to work on here. So let's set that aside. We're done with our Cricut maker now for the whole project. So let's move that. And this is what our tree looks like once the Cricut maker is done cutting it out. So then all we have to do is remove it from our mat. Again, we do want to be careful not to touch the stickiness of the mat. So we're going to take off the outer edge, peel off the tape, we can do that later, and we're going to take off the tree. Woohoo! And look at how great that tree was cut out. Now, if you have more intricate cuts for the maker, it will take longer to do, but since this was a simple outline, it cut out in about 20 minutes. Okay, so now, oh, and I forgot to say, and on there is also a pattern piece for the easel, so we can make the tree stand up. So make sure that you get that piece cut out as well. Now the next step after you have everything cut out is to paint your tree. And I think this is where you could get really creative. I have just painted mine with some spray paint. So super duper simple, but this is where you could let the kids decorate their own, paint their own Christmas tree. You could even hand paint this to make it a really gorgeous special gift, or just keep it simple and you could even just leave it as the brown chipboard, because we have all of our numbers that are going to go on our candy to make an ornament. So it doesn't have to be painted, but just some options there. So now what we're going to do is attach this little easel piece that we cut out. Now we want to give this a little bit of a score line. So I've got my ruler here. I'm going to grab my craft knife and I'm going to cut on the chipboard, but I'm not going to cut all the way through. I'm just going to cut about halfway through. So maybe 2 or 3 passes with the craft knife, enough to where it will bend on its own. And you do kind of have to force it, and that's okay. And one thing that I've learned since I made mine a couple weeks ago is this bend right here becomes really, really weak. So that is why I have some duct tape here. And we're just gonna give that bend a little bit of reinforcement so that it can still bend, but it won't break completely off. Now, if you have this in a Christmas color, great, but if you don't, that's okay too. Like mine's hot pink. You do with what you've got. And now that little hinge right there is nice and strong. Okay, we're gonna trim off a little bit of that excess duct tape there. Okay, and now we are going to glue this in place on the back. So we're going to turn the green piece over. Let's get that ruler out of the way. We've got our easel, and I'm going to bring in my hot glue gun. And basically what you want to do is to line up the edge of the easel with the trunk of the tree on the back. And we're going to fold that under. And that is where we are going to glue our easel in place. Okay, so we're just going to put a good dollop of glue on there. And then fold that under carefully so you don't burn yourself. And let that cool. Now, another way to kind of keep this easel stronger and not let it open up all the way and fall backwards is to also add a little bit of ribbon to the bottom. So I'm going to cut off a piece that's maybe 4 or 5 inches, and that might even be too long. We're going to trim that down just a smidgen. Okay, we're going to open that up carefully. We're going to take some glue. I'm going to put a little dollop of glue right there on our ribbon. And we're going to, hopefully you can see this, kind of glue that about 1.5 inches up from the bottom of the easel piece, like that. And then we're going to do the same and glue the other side about 1.5 inches up, but on the tree. Like, ooh, that's hot glue. glue. Okay, so now we've got this ribbon that will only let the easel open up so far. So that will make it stand much nicer, like that. Okay, so now we know how our tree advent is going to stand up. Now we get to start adding on the candies. So I have got some Reese's peanut butter cups, the mini ones. These are absolutely my favorite candy any time of year. And when I have an excuse to eat them during the holidays, even better. So this is what we are going to use for our ornaments. So we've got all of our little cutout circles here. And I've got some Zots, the round sticker dots. And we are just going to grab them and put a number on the top of each one of these Reese's cups. And now we are going to stick them to our tree with some rubber cement. Now, if you would like, you can use the glue dots that we used as well to put them on. But I found that when you removed them with the glue dots, that it kind of ripped the board apart. And when I used rubber cement, they came off a lot easier, which meant that I could actually reuse this board next year again if I wanted to. So I'm using the rubber cement, but you can use the glue dots if you would like. So to put them on, I like to put them on so I know where to put everything before I glue it down. You can do it in order, and in fact this one was done in order, or you can do it random like, and I think this time I'm going to do it more random. But you just arrange all of the candy on there. Make sure that you like the arrangement before you glue it all down. And I tried doing this with like the miniatures, the Hershey's miniatures, and those candy bars were a little bit too big. So that candy didn't work, but I was thinking you could easily use Rolos for this as well. Rolos are pretty delicious too. So if you're not a fan of Reese's peanut butter cups, then you could do Rolos with this as well and not even really have to alter anything except the candy. Okay, so there are all of my numbers there, and I am happy with that. So now I'm going to take my rubber cement. I'm going to move that one out of the way. And it does not take very much glue. It really does just take a little bit. Do you guys remember the little rhyme in grade school that said, a dot of glue. More than a dot is too much glue. I always say that to myself every time I'm gluing anything. Now this is really nice, fresh rubber cement. So it might take just a minute more to dry. The one I did earlier was a little bit older, and so it was a little bit more rubberier, so it dried much quicker. So we're just going to put those on there, just a tiny little bit on the back. And of course the candy is protected there by 2 layers of wrapper and then the inside wrapper as well. So I'm pretty sure it's okay. But if you're worried about it, you could use glue dots, like I said. We're just going to glue the bottom of all of those on. And I can tell that these are going to take a little bit longer to dry because these top ones are wiggling around still. So depending on how fresh your rubber cement is, depends on how long this will have to dry, just before you can stand it up and the candy won't fall off. Ooh, and I need to make sure I have a 6 and a 9. not 2 6s or 2 9s since I'm not going in order. Okay, there is our last one we are gluing down. And they are still a little wiggly. So we're gonna let them sit for just a minute to dry, and then I will come show you how it stands up. I've let this dry for about 20 minutes and I feel really pretty good about it. It's all pretty dry and sturdy. So there is our fun Christmas tree advent calendar. Isn't that so cute? And it stands up all by itself. That would look so cute on a mantle, like just above the stockings. You can use it as a decoration, and it's a fun way to count down the days towards Christmas. Now, as this was drying, I was looking at the glue, and it does say that it may be harmful if swallowed. So I still think it's okay because there are a couple layers of packaging between the actual candy and the rubber cement. But if you have any concerns whatsoever, go ahead and just use a glue dot between the candy and the chipboard, and then you won't have to worry about anything. So, but I am so excited with how this turned out. So excited to put it up with my Christmas decorations. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love for you to follow me on YouTube and my other social medias, Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you can always find me at my home base, thecraftyblogstalker.com. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye, and happy crafting!